The Twin Towers are known to sway about 3 feet to each of the 4 sides, especially the top floors. On windy days, the higher the floor is, the more it sways. Under normal circumstances, these flexible buildings swayed enough in high winds that seasickness was a noticeable problem among the workers on the upper floors. However, we did not see any of the Twin Towers sway when about 300,000 pounds of the alleged Boeing 767s impacted the Twin Towers at speeds of hundreds of miles per hour. Find the right formula and do your calculation of the amount of the force or the pressure on the impact of about 300,000 pounds of the Boeing 767 at a speed of more than 300 miles an hour and see how many feet should the towers have swayed and what kind of damage should have occurred to the Twin Towers. Furthermore, have you seen the car's crash test on the TV? The Boeing 767 should have had damages not only as the cars in the crash test, but the aircraft should have become like an accordion, broken to pieces, slid and fell on the side of the building with fireballs rolling down the towers and some parts hanging in the buildings of the Twin Towers, and not be swollen or sucked into the building as if the buildings were gigantic vacuum machines, as in the fabricated videos that the media brainwashed the public with. Let me remind you of how we were mesmerized, brainwashed, hypnotized, bewitched, and programmed with the preposterous scenarios when one main media commentator described how, in the fabricated video of the alleged aircraft crashing and going inside the building, when he said the aircraft went inside the building like a knife in the butter. He was falsely and against the facts of physics, stating by illusion that the hollow-light aluminum alloy aircraft was the knife and the mountain of steel building of the Twin Towers was the butter. That was one of the many viruses the media downloaded and installed in the minds of the audience. I have to try to point out such viruses and expose them to the public by asking, which is more strong and solid, the butter or the knife? Butter knives are normally made of stainless steel. The answer is the knife. However, the answer of the media is the butter is stronger than the steel knife. I ask another question. Which is more solid and strong, the mainly hollow light aluminum alloy aircraft's body or the Twin Towers steel frame? The answer is the Twin Towers steel frame. However, the answer of the media is the aluminum is stronger than the steel. The media is bewitching us that the mainly hollow light aluminum alloy body of the aircraft is stronger than the steel frame of the Twin Towers buildings to sell the fabricated videos of the alleged aircrafts impacting and going inside the Twin Towers. Therefore, the media is actually telling us that the aircraft went into the building like the butter into the knife, not like the knife into the butter as he stated it, but actually he was making us believe like that the aircraft went into the building like the butter into the knife, because the media is programming us that the butter is more solid and strong than the stainless steel knife. Consequently, the media is programming us that the butter is stronger than the stainless steel knife. Accordingly, the media is mesmerizing, hypnotizing, brainwashing, bewitching, and programming the public, and by the use of the scaring tactics of the preposterous scenarios as part of the anti-Islam, anti-Abraham crusade, to further the grip of the sons of the devil of John 8:44 and their two-legged allies dogs, the enemies of humanity and the enemies of Allah, God the Creator. And that's mental terrorism and insult to the intelligence of the audience regardless of their religion, color, race, or language. At about 5:25 p.m. of September 11, 2001, Building 7 collapsed. Do you know what kind of aircraft crashed into Building 7? I have multiple choice for you. A. Beluga 300 Airbus. B. American Airlines Boeing 777. C. American Airlines Boeing 757. D. United Airlines Boeing 767. E. None of the above. The answer is E. None of the above. No aircraft crashed into Building 7. Do you know why Building 7 collapsed? The government admitted that it intentionally pulled down Building 7 by controlled demolition by the use of explosives. It is not a secret. So when did they make the decision to pull the building down? And at what time they planted and put the explosives in Building 7? Furthermore, there are overwhelming evidence of videos, pictures, and testimonies of eyewitnesses and New York firefighters and other evidence that support the actuality, which indicates and demonstrates clearly that the Twin Towers collapses were the result of bombed explosions. That's by controlled demolitions with explosives placed in strategic points in the Twin Towers as in Building 7, and not by aircrafts impacting with the Twin Towers. What actually happened next, before either tower collapsed, were massive explosions in the Twin Towers buildings, explosions that sent clouds of masonry dust into the air. The first of many blasts that would rock the World Trade Center complex. Therefore, as Building 7 was pulled down by controlled demolitions, the Twin Towers were also pulled down and collapsed by massive explosions of controlled demolitions, and not by the mother of all smoke screens of the preposterous scenarios of the alleged aircraft that were fabricated by the media for the purpose of mesmerizing, hypnotizing, brainwashing, and bewitching the public to strengthen and further the grip of the criminals who hijacked the USA and used its mighty power to dominate the world. Mr. Van Romero, Vice President for Research at New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology, said, "The collapse of the Twin Towers resembled those of controlled implosions used in planned demolition." Mr. Romero said, quote, "My opinion is based on the videotapes. There were some explosive devices inside the building that caused the towers to collapse." End quote. A demolition expert, Mr. Romero is a former director of the Energetic Material Research and Testing Center at Tech, which studies explosive materials and the effects of explosions on buildings, aircraft, and other structures. Therefore, the alleged hijacked aircraft were the mother of all smokescreens to bring the landmark of the USA down to accelerate the global anti-Islamic crusade under the cover of war on terrorism. I ask, who are the beneficiaries of the war on terrorism, and why they shouldn't be investigated? Does this remind us of the naval USS Liberty reconnaissance ship, where about 33 Navy personnel were murdered and about 170 injured as a result of the Israelis' attack that was never investigated? When Israel tried to get the USA to attack Egypt and the Israelis initiated 1967 war against the Arabs?